again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can come on in and get caught up on some of the latest news involving our Cleveland Browns and get a 10-minute take along the way. You may have noticed we are not yet back in the friendly confines of the Browns Latest studio. We are still with the doors, the Shedeurs, as I like to call them, for another show or two. But hey, thanks for bearing with us as we deal with our little makeshift set here for Browns Latest. Coming up on today's show, the odds are out. Who will take the first snaps? Who has the best odds of taking the first snaps for the Browns in Week 1? We're going to look them over. Also, the list of the best and worst quarterback situations in the league came out, and I'm not really sure why the Browns are ranked where they're ranked. Also, a message one Browns player is sending with his brand new commercial. And in the viewer comments, a very balanced assessment of Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Now, first things first, though. Let's talk quarterbacks and who the experts think has the best chance to take the first snaps come Week 1 for the Browns. And now, very different assessments here, folks. We'll start with FanDuel. And FanDuel has Joe Flacco just ahead of Kenny Pickett. Flacco at plus 116, Kenny Pickett plus 200. So a $100 bet will win you 116 if you bet Flacco. It'll win you 200 if you bet Kenny Pickett. Shedeur Sanders comes in third at plus 430. So look at it this way, $10 will win you 43 if you bet Shedeur to take the first snaps. And then Dillon Gabriel, the third round pick, bringing up the rear at plus 870. That's one of the first things that caught my eye. But here's what really caught my eye. When you go to DraftKings and you see Kenny Pickett on top at plus 120. And I mean, he is a clear favorite according to DraftKings. And then look who's number 2, Shedeur Sanders at plus 225. And you can see there, I put in there in parentheses what a $10 bet, because these are my kind of numbers. $5 and $10 are my kind of numbers. And so, if you wanted to put something on them, I was surprised a little bit to see Shedeur that high and Joe Flacco down there in the third spot. And then there's Dillon Gabriel at plus 650 again. So both FanDuel and DraftKings with Dillon Gabriel fourth on the list, the worst odds. And Deshaun Watson, he wasn't even listed on FanDuel. He is listed on DraftKings at plus 1,800. But to me, it could be plus 18 million because he is never, ever going to take another snap for the Cleveland Browns again. And so what does this mean? So here's what I immediately thought when I saw this. I think of Lee Corso. If you ever watch College Game Day, Lee Corso, and you look at some of these lines and you go, that's whether it's a little off or a little strange, or if it makes you go, somebody knows something. And like Lee Corso says all the time, he says, somebody knows something, and I'm going with the somebodies. Somebody knows something here, folks, to see Kenny Pickett that high, in the odds, and then also to see Shedeur Sanders above Dillon Gabriel on both of the top two sports betting sites. Somebody knows something. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But, think of all the times how they know the line was 5. How they know it was going to end, 83 to 78. So, somebody knows something. But anyway, there you go. So Kenny Pickett, I'm telling you guys, you better lean into this a little bit, because we're going to talk more about this right before OTAs get going here in the next couple of days. But you better start leaning into Kenny Pickett a little bit more, or at least get used to that idea, because it may happen. Speaking of all of our quarterbacks, Yardbarker put together this list of quarterback situations that are the best, and we're gonna glance over this. Okay, we're gonna go over all of them, but here's what they said. Yeah, Buffalo's number 1, KC's number 2, Cincinnati and Baltimore are 3 and 4, and Philly is 5. Now, you can see the Browns there at 31. Pittsburgh with the worst quarterback situation according to Yardbarker in the league at the moment. But here's the thing, and I looked at this and I thought, You know what? I don't understand why the Browns are ranked 31, because why aren't they ahead of teams with rookie quarterbacks like Tennessee or the Giants? The Giants are a complete mess. They don't have a running back. They don't have anything. They have one wide receiver. Anyway, but why the Browns weren't ranked ahead of those teams? But then I was kind of surprised to see Philadelphia at 5. You won a Super Bowl, right? But your quarterback situation is only 5th best in the league, and you got Cincinnati and Baltimore in front of them. And then here's the other thing, though. Each one of those teams in the top 5, folks, they're one starting quarterback injury away from being relegated to nothingness, because Buffalo's backup is Mitch Trubisky. KC went out and signed Gardner Minshew. That's who their backup quarterback is now. Cincinnati, Jake Browning. Baltimore, you know who Baltimore's backup quarterback is now? Cooper Rush, the guy that used to be with Dallas. And then with Philly, even Philly's in a bit of a situation now, because their backup quarterback is now Tanner McGee. And here's the thing what they ranked Philly 5th, and one of the reasons they rank them 5th is because they traded away Kenny Pickett. And so now Kenny Pickett is in our room, but we're still somehow ranked 31. The whole thing was kind of, I don't know. The Browns never get any respect in any of this stuff. And it just, as a fan, it makes me nuts. And it doesn't make any sense. But, hey, got me talking about it on my show. So, whatever, I do think the Browns are in a, this is the best. This is what I'll tell you about our situation with the quarterbacks the last, 5, 10, 50 years. No, not that long. When was Bernie? I guess it's almost getting close to 50 years, 40 years. But this is, to me, the most put together room we've had in a long, long time. Now, one thing that one of our quarterbacks did, he went out and made a commercial already, working with Gatorade. That's Shedeur Sanders has a new Gatorade commercial out. And it's pretty cool, man. And if you see it, he's sending a pretty strong message. It's all done in black and white, and all you see is a football hitting a target in the middle of a net, and each time he throws the ball, he says, lose time, lose friends, lose nights, lose mornings, lose more sweat than I knew I had. And then he gets to the end and throws one more football, but lose the target I have on my back, and he looks at the camera and says, nah. And when I saw that, I'm like, this is it, right? This is Shedeur, right? And also, it's kind of what the Browns need. The Browns always have we're always the laughing stock of the league. We always have that target on our back. Shedeur always has that target on his back. And so we need this kind of attitude, folks. We need to get some of that swagger, and Shedeur definitely showing it in that Gatorade commercial. And so I just thought it was cool. Be cool to see the Browns make some kind of, as a team, make some commercials like that. So also, what's cool, of course, the viewer comments, and they're always a home run. I'm thinking of the Guardians because they're playing well right now, climbing their way back to the top of the AL Central, and so shout out to the Guardians and the viewer comments hitting a home run. We're going to start with Jeff O'Donnell. Jeff says, I don't know if you're old enough to remember 1985. Jeff, unfortunately, I am more than old enough to remember 1985, but that is what they should do this year. They should run first. Remember, we're talking about the Stefanski offense and how much he likes to run the ball. This is what he says. He's run first, run second, and then if it's third and long, run it anyway. He says because our offensive line is okay if it's healthy, but it's thin, and I agree with that. I think the offensive line, and it's a key, though. It's a big if, I know, but when they're healthy and we're going back to the Bill Callahan scheme with our new offensive line coach, so there are things lining up. I think the offensive line could be pretty good, and I think we're gonna. These are all the reasons, folks. We're gonna run the ball a lot. Demetrius Smith, 2681. He made list. Okay, I'm gonna read through this whole thing. Bear with me, but he made a great assessment, a very balanced assessment of Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. He says, I like both Gabriel and Sanders. He's like, I find it funny how fans that don't watch college football all of a sudden know who's better based on where our front office drafted them. So Gabriel went in the 3rd round, Shedeur Sanders in the 5th. Keep in mind, Gabriel played behind an offensive line that all will play in the NFL. Sanders did not. Sanders took too many sacks because teams knew his line was garbage. If he threw the ball away every time his line broke down, Colorado would have never sustained a drive. Gabriel had a running game with NFL caliber running backs. He did. And he had an offensive coordinator who was, Sanders didn't. Sanders had an offensive coordinator who was an NFL OC and also a former head coach. Remember, our man Shermer. And then Gabriel's offensive coordinator was assistant coach at a Texas high school for 5 years. Remember, we talked about this. And Cleveland's offense is similar to Colorado's system than what Oregon ran. And remember, we broke this down. We compared the two, and I feel like that's a big advantage for Shedeur, having a former NFL head coach as your offensive coordinator. You're running a pro-style scheme. I may be completely wrong, but you have an offensive coordinator at Oregon who no professional experience. He played quarterback at Louisville. He's only coached in college. I don't know. Call it what you want. I just feel like that's a big advantage for Shedeur. And so the bottom line is a lot will play out. There are so many factors to this. That's what makes it so fascinating. Love this handle. Johnny Swag 2802. This is funny. He had a good one. He says, I believe you like how I believe the mock drafts this year. LOL. I thought that was funny. The Browns' first 6 games are going to be tough, and the QB is going to have to spin it for the Browns to win it. And so he's saying, no, we can't run the ball. We're going to have to throw the ball if we're going to win. If we have any chance with this grueling first part of the schedule, Johnny Swag says we're going to have to throw it around the yard a little bit. But I go the other way. Johnny Swag and I are on 2 different ends of the spectrum. I think if you're going to win those games, you got to let your defense shine and control, shorten these games, run the ball, and get in and out of there, even if you have to win 3-0. Soy Dolce 3581. This is how we'll end. Philly CU Auntie here just purchased tickets to the preseason Eagles versus Browns game on August 16th, thanks to your show. Earlier this week about CU, after the show about the CU Aunties. And so she said, well, you talked about the Browns preseason games. She said, thank you. So I thank you again to all of the CU Aunties who have showed up in the comments and had nice things to say about the show. But I think it's great. Like I said, I think the Browns need we need some kind of positive, we need the positive vibes, man. We need all we can get to turn this around. It's like turning around a cruise ship where we've been. It's going to take slow and, but who knows? Maybe with the power of the CU Aunties, we'll turn it around a little faster. Okay, that's going to do it for today's show. Maybe one more day with the Shedeurs, but we'll be back in the studio sooner than later. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Go Browns. We'll see you next time.